that time of the week again. This day is designated to all ladies at home. Ukitaka kujua anything about your favorite celebrities, any upcoming initiative, anything you want to know that entails entertainment and has to do with ladies, tuko nayo hapa. And for the next 2 hours, I will be your graceful host, Laura Mbaka. So please stay tuned. This is KTN Ladies Night. And as usual, leo tumewaandalia guests amazing and 3 segments tuko nazo for powerful ladies doing big things in the industry. And right now, nataka invite our first guest. And of course, not the biggest but the best as usual. But her name is Sharon Wanjiru. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on to our set. Have a seat, please. Sharon Wanjiru Ngugi. Kona titles mingi sana. You're a woman up to big things, yeah? And this is your first book, yeah? So that's why I introduced you. Maybe not the biggest, but probably the best, because it's something that a lot of people relate to, and you're just starting out. So please tell us who Sharon is.
Sharon is, as you said, many things, but I am a marketer. I'm a digital marketer at work. I am also a content creator. Basically, I like to say that my life is revolving around content. I create content at work, for social media, for our website blog, and now author.
Yeah. Author. And when did you discover, like, when did you find the words? Because I know sometimes when I'm like, I have so much to say, but how did you figure out all this and put it into writing?
Well, for me, I've always felt that since I was younger, I remember in primary when we were told to do compositions and inshas, for me that was the easiest part of school. Yeah, so I've always had this writing in me. This writing skill has always been a natural for me. So for this book, it's something that's very close to my heart, and it speaks about my life. And it was just easy for me. I've been running away from it for a while, and I've been scared and fearful about who will actually read the book, who will be interested in all this. But this year, around July, I decided, you know what, I cannot keep pushing it ahead, because if I don't write this book, who will? Yeah. So I just took my laptop and I started writing.
Amazing. And for those people at home are wondering, what is this we are talking about? This is Sharon's first book, and it is Let's Make Lemonade. Yes. Have I got it right?
Yes, you have.
Yes, Let's Make Lemonade. That title, meaning inspire your title.
Let's Make Lemonade. Many times in life, you'll be thrown at lemons. I've had that quote over and over again, but it's never.
Many times,
it's never meant something to me until I wrote this first book. And to me, it's a story about a girl who decided to never let her situations and her circumstances in life influence the person she becomes. Yeah. So for me, it's basically learning how to, all these lemons that life keeps throwing at you, learning how to take all of them, add some sugar, add some spice, and make a great and awesome lemonade out of it.
Which is the funny thing, when I was reading the title, like, Bas, but I get the meaning behind it, which is easy to misinterpret until you hear the actual story behind it.
Yes.
And the book is set to highlight a problem that some people are afraid to mention. Sometimes when you're joining a relationship and they end it, you're like, the problem was this side. The problem was him, and you cannot change my mind. Men are trash. Story is simple, case closed. But you have a different outlook on that. So please tell us about the book.
So let me just give a brief background about this book. I lost my dad when I was about 3 years old, and I've grown up with a very amazing and awesome single mother. She's inspired me to be the woman that I am today. And the reason I've written this book is because growing up, many people had so many misconceptions about girls with daddy issues, quote unquote. They'd see a girl who's acting some type of way and just assume, you know what, she probably didn't have a dad growing up, or that's why she's so clingy, or that's why she's this and that. So this book is basically to tell girls out there, yes, it's fine. Yes, probably you grew up without a dad. Life happens, but what matters the most is how you respond as opposed to how you react to your story. So for me, it's about speaking about how to overcome the victim mentality, because many girls out here have this, why is it always me? All the bad things keep happening to me, all this shenanigans about bad things always happening to us, and you stay in that situation without waking up and just making a difference out of your life. So for me, this book is just to encourage a lady out there to remember, yes, fine, you don't have a dad, but that doesn't mean that you go around sleeping with men because of that. It's not an excuse. It's never an excuse. So I speak about, actually, it's a biography and motivational book intertwined, because I speak about my story and how I was able to overcome all this victim mentality, how I speak about coping with grief and loss, because that's something that in the African society we don't speak about. People will tell you, I know how you feel when you've lost a loved one, but in actual sense they don't. So for me, I also speak about in depth my story of coping with grief and loss and how I've managed to overcome that in my life. Yeah.
You mentioned daddy issues, which is not a very highlighted topic, especially in our society, because for most people, even me who grew up without a father for most part of my life, and unajua, your neighbor doesn't have a father, then your other cousin, mnaka family meeting ni wewe na mama zenu, like there's never really a dad. So like your father figure maybe is your brothers, and you see like young men, especially in society nowadays, how they treat women. So you pick up that and you feel like it's normal. But daddy issues, when did you discover this was a thing for you?
Okay. So I remember when I was growing up, I really struggled with self-esteem. So at some point, it didn't occur to me exactly what that meant. You know, the way probably for me, I actually speak about it in my book and I say, I've always been the bigger child. You see, in the crew, there's always someone who's the biggest of them all. Okay, I wasn't really the biggest, but I've never been a small person. So I remember even in primary school, I used to be teased a lot about that with even my friends. So it never really affected me until I got to around teenagehood, like mid-teen. And I realized actually there are things about my body that I really completely don't like. And I started struggling with self-esteem issues. And then I would sit down and look at my friends who have dads and the way they speak about their dads. Like, you know, my dad keeps telling me this about me. And I'd be so discouraged. So that's when I started to see actually having a dad is very important, because a dad is a daughter's first love. And a dad is able to ignite confidence in a girl, something that many people don't like to accept, but it's the truth. So a dad will be able to make you feel, you know, it's something like I was being told by my coach something the other day, and he was saying there's this girl who was playing tennis, but she would always be so discouraged every time they have a match or something of that sort, because every one of her friends used to come with their dad to support them. So she one day opened up about it, and the coach was like, but your mom is always around. But she's like, no, it's not the same. There's just this one thing that a dad adds into a girl's life. So for me, I discovered, I didn't really know the name to peg on it, but I knew there was something amiss in my life. I knew there was an issue that I needed to battle with, because if I didn't, it would affect me later on. Yeah.
Daddy issues. It's a very sensitive toy, and I feel like I can relate to it. Maybe not to steal your shine, but I feel like I've battled with it. Now you're talking and I'm like, okay. Because I feel I was very defensive. Like, you know, when you're raised by a mother, you always, I don't know if this is the same for you, you're always a fighter. The confidence comes in form of defense, you know. Like if you're not confident, this doesn't work. If you fail, your mother's always pick yourself up. It's never, it's okay to break down and feel like you failed, but come back up. It's always, sahau, next time there's always that. And I understand what you're saying, but you feel like you have low self-esteem because your mother will always tell you you're beautiful, but the male energy, which is the approval you're saying, like when you're getting into a relationship, you didn't get it from a natural and deserving place, that when you come out, it is such a necessity for you. And so now tell us about daddy issues in a relationship, even in friendships perhaps. Let's start with friendship.
Okay. So you've actually mentioned something that I've really spoken about, defense. People who've grown up in such an environment are usually very quick to defend. Like anytime even my mother would tell me something, I was, instead of even looking at the positive side, I was always about defending myself and trying to justify all my actions. So even in friendships, it actually ends up affecting your friendships and relationships, in the sense that if you hurt your loved one, the first instinct is never to apologize. It's always to blame game. But it's not me. I'm not the one who did that.
It's never
you know,
like
it's never me. You always keep pointing.
I'm telling you, it's them. The problem is really them.
It's not us.
No, it's never us.
So you keep pointing your finger at the other person, and you never sit down and decide, you know what, I might be having a problem. So I remember even in my friendships, it would be so strained, because I'd wrong people, but to me, honestly, I am sure it's not me. So please, you go deal with your issues.
And you know, like, the journey of self-discovery is funny and fun at times, and it's painful sometimes. Like I remember sometimes we used to hang out with my friends, and her parents were separated, and she used to speak so highly about her dad, who actually cheated on her mom. And I used to be like, so what's the big deal? You know, some of us have been raised without dads. We've survived. Like, move on.
Yeah.
It's never that serious. No
Yeah.
school can burn each other. Back one like Jesus. Is
I
it really
know.
ever that serious? But you
Yeah.
don't really understand the impact it has on people's lives.
Yeah.
And you feel like people are weak because like it's a man eat man one society, and women unfortunately have always been the ones who have been stepped on. So you have to always be on your defenses.
Yeah.
And that's how you even address certain situations. And like you've said, sleeping around with men. Please, let's talk about that.
Well, for me, I thank God because I can only say God saved me. Because in my book, I speak about around 7 years ago when I actually accepted Christ into my heart. And that really saved me from that sleeping around with men. Because I know many people suffer from that. And it's not about them. It's about what's going on in their life. Sometimes you're so quick to judge them. You don't even take a step back and try to understand where they're coming from. So for me, the sleeping around with men, I am not saying it's justified. It's never justified. But at times, my experience growing up and this book has taught me that, you know what, don't judge someone until you learn their story. Don't judge someone based on their chapter 20 and you don't even know their chapter 1 in their life. So yeah, it's not right.
It's not right.
You're not justified to do that, but I understand. I know where you're coming from. I know what you're going through, and I understand.
Yeah, but look at it this way. We're in an era where we are all women, we're empowered, and you hear sometimes people argue that. I mean, I share the same views as you. Maybe not because of your standpoint, but just personal preference. But you hear women argue that if men can do it, so can we. So if I want to sleep with 10 men this week, I might as well do it, equality, this and that, this and that. Do you feel like it is justified on some part when it comes to fighting for equality? I mean, we're empowered women, so go ahead and do it. Or there is a deep-rooted fact. Is it that men and women are different? Is it okay for men? Is it okay for women? Is it not okay? What's the dynamic?
Well, I don't think so. I've never been a believer in it's okay for men, it's not okay for women. I believe that it's a personal issue. It's more about your character. There's no SI unit for that. I believe it depends on who you are and what you believe in. Because honestly, if you interviewed people, there are some who think it's okay. I just like sleeping around, so just let me be me. So I think it's about learning who you are and understanding where you're coming from, whether you're a man or a woman. There's nothing like men you're allowed to do this, women you're allowed to do this. No, everyone is about learning the person that you are and the person that you want to become and the person that you want to portray for you and for everyone else. Yeah.
And you've mentioned this is a biography and also motivational as well. But as someone could argue, maybe someone at home was and maybe done some soul searching and is like, so who told her the rest of us are dealing with this problem? Like I'm sitting here, I've been raised by a single mom and my life is spectacular. Maybe she's been in a relationship for the past 15 years, married with kids, and whatever you're saying is maybe unrelatable to her. Who do you feel you're speaking to, and how do you feel like this message is applicable to this one and this one and this one? Is there any research that went into the book, and how did you get all that information?
Okay, for me, as I've said, it's more of a biography. I speak about my story. And I believe that many times we have a problem and we don't even know that we have that problem. If it took me close to 20-something years for me to realize that, this is actually an issue that I could be facing. As I had said earlier, when I was in my mid-teens, I knew there was something amiss, but I really never knew what it was. I couldn't put a name to that issue. So I think it's a problem that many women are going through, and they don't even know they're going through it. Probably, and I speak about various things to make you see that you could be going through this victim mentality issue. I speak about characteristics of a victim. Someone who's always thinking that it's me, why is it always me?
Yeah, but seriously, tell me, why is it always me?
You see, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm very serious.
It's not always you.
Always me.
It's not always you. It's never you. Actually, if you do a research, you'll find out almost everyone thinks the same. Like you don't own all the problems in this world. You can't sit around. You can't sit around and coil your tail and cry all the time and think, what? I keep trying this relationship, the other one. You don't own all the problems in the world. So I'm speaking to that lady out there who's been struggling to pick herself up despite whatever challenge she's going through. She's been struggling to get out of it. She's been struggling to believe in herself. She's been struggling to chase her dreams fearlessly. And she's also been struggling to have a voice in this society that constantly puts you down when you try and make a difference in your life, when you try and be better, when you try and do more. I am talking to that person who's struggling to get out of that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
very passionate. You can
Yeah.
feel it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
Are you the only child in your family?
Well, I was
Mhm.
for 16 years until my baby brother was born. So I'm not an only child.
Oh, you're not.
Yes.
So I'm assuming your baby brother is also from a single family home.
Mm-hmm.
And daddy issues not only affect the woman.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen maybe in your brother that maybe you can feel you
Mhm.
can also chip in for the man watching at home and is like, maybe it's not the same, it doesn't manifest in the same way, but I feel like something,
you.
yeah.
Okay, for me, if there's something I'm very particular on is ensuring that my brother gets as much advice and as much surrounding from fathers and father figures in his life. Actually, in my book, I speak about how having a father figure in my life has really helped me. I might not have a biological dad, but I've had men who God has raised up to be around me and to help me grow to be the woman that I am today. So even for my brother, his dad is present, he is around.
Yeah.
So I make sure he spends as much time I make sure he spends as much time as he can with the dad, and to just see that manly figure in his life and to be able to emulate and grow up to become a better man and a God-fearing man, a blessed man, and someone who's masculine and is not afraid to be the best man that he can be. So I make sure I do my part. Well, as a woman, you can never step in the place of a man.
Yes.
It's not possible. But that's why you have father figures in your life who will help you and who will grow with you and be with you every step of the way.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. Yeah.
But look at and you see, this is your little brother, and
Yeah.
you've self-discovered yourself, which is a beautiful thing, and you can look at your brother and be like, I know ways to help you. I can see it when you're going through something. But for instance, someone like me who has older siblings, I look at them as my father figures. So you'd pick up some habits that I have and be like, uyu, apana, she's too boyish, you know, like sometimes how you interact with people, even in relationships. Sometimes my boyfriend tells me, you're such a dude, you know, like the way you react to certain things. And that's because I've used them as my defense. But for them who lack a father figure, do you have anything to tell those people?
Okay, what has worked for me, as I've said, this is not factual like science, a science book where, you know,
it's trial
more
and error anyway.
It's exactly.
If it doesn't work for you, on to the next.
Exactly. So for me, what worked for me, as I said, is when I learned the kind of love that God has for us. And for me, that has worked miracles in my life. Learning God and having God in my life has stepped in to that. He has stepped into that shoe so perfectly that at times I don't even remember that I don't have a dad. And actually, in this book, I speak about that. I speak about the ladies out there who say, you know what, my uncles don't give a damn about me. I don't have anyone around me who I can say is my father figure. I tell you that there is God. And he's your first love. He's your genuine first love. And if you don't accept him, you will end up, there's this space, I believe that there's this space in our soul that seeks to be satisfied by a supreme being. Whatever that means to you, it could be anything. But for me, I believe that space was filled up by God, and he's loved me in a way that I don't even see that there's something missing. You understand? So for that lady out there who would tell me, you know what, Sharon, I don't have anyone I can call dad, I don't have this, I don't have that, you have God, and that's all you need, honestly.
I mean, he's our father. We have really no excuse from wanting to come up. And now back to the book. You're launching it when?
The book will be launching on Monday, 2nd December, at the Michael Joseph Center from 6:30 p.m. to around 10 p.m.
Just show the people at home. Maybe I can hold it up for them. Let's make lemonade. This is proof that your current situation does not have to determine your future. Sharon Cook. And there's a beautiful picture of Sharon. Let me just show you guys the front page. And that's the, how do you call it, the tagline for the book.
Yes.
And a beautiful picture of Sharon in a lemonade shirt, in a yellow lemonade shirt. And there's then the brief history here and something here. We can go into detail about that.
Yeah.
December 2nd. What's the significance of that date? Am I available?
To be honest, you're available. But anyway, you just make do with what you get.
Yeah. And so far, like, have you distributed the books to family, friends?
For me, actually, after I had done my first manuscript, I gave it to my mom, definitely, who's been very amazing in this journey. I could go into details, but anyway. So she was my first editor. Then I gave it to my best friend, who also edited it for me. And then finally, I got should I say professional editor, but yeah, someone who's actually in this editing business to do that.
And you said your mom was your first editor.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I gave my mom a book complaining about, this is what I was missing out on, she'd first of all slap me with the book and be like,
Yeah.
But how was her reaction towards the book?
Let me quote her exact words. She was like, "Oh my God, people actually write books." She was seated and she was thinking, I see this in movies, I see this in TV. I didn't know someone can actually write a full book. So she was so happy, she was so excited. At that time, she didn't really know exactly what it was about. And after reading it, I think it made her get even closer to me. And it made her understand some of the things I was going through. Actually, at some point, I was speaking about rebellion. Because as you were saying, justification and defensiveness, it used to hurt my relationship with my mom a lot. So I think this book helped her see, so that's what she was going through at that point. So it's really made us get even closer than we were before. So she's very excited about it. Yeah.
So the purpose of the launch it's to push the book to the market, and as well as that, it's to what are the prospective audience members or book buyers expecting from that day?
Okay. I'm taking it as a platform to help people who are upcoming artists, especially. I'm very passionate about people chasing their dreams fearlessly. Very passionate. So I'm giving people a platform whereby they can showcase what they do best. I have a couple of upcoming artists who are going to be performing then, and also it will be a chance for me to talk to my audience about exactly where this book came from. Why did I write this book? What was the inspiration behind it? What were the struggles I went through writing this book? What were the highs? What were the lows? Just that. It's a moment where I'll get to interact with people who are actually interested in it and who want to understand what is the background of Let's Make Lemonade. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on to set. And maybe someone who has watched at home wants to find out more details. Maybe Asai and just the title interested them, just how to follow you and maybe find out more about the journey. If they're unable to make it to that launch, where can they get the book? And just give them your social media handles and all that right there.
So thank you so much for watching this. I'd like to inform you that the tickets for my launch are being sold at Ticket Sasa. So just log on to www.ticketsasa.com, search for Let's Make Lemonade, and you'll find my tickets there. Besides that, in case you're not able to come for the launch, you can just find my tickets. You can just DM me. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My name is Sharon Wanjiru. Just DM me and say that you're interested in the book, and I'll make sure you get it as soon as possible.
All right, that was Sharon Wanjiru, Let's Make Lemonade, the author of Let's Make Lemonade, and I'm looking forward to reading this book as well, because I feel like I relate to it. I mean, I say that all the time on the show, but I feel like I'm a very empowered woman. But Sai, come on to watch Unataka break. Go ahead and make your lemonade and come back and join us for the second segment, where we have just as inspiring and just as big and just as good guests on our next set. This is KTN Ladies Night.